Testing 1, 2, 3. Welcome. This is G, and you are right where you belong. You are among people who understand that we are different, that we are supposed to be different. We understand that we all have these divine degrees within our being, and it is those beautiful differences, those beautiful degrees of deity that flow through each and every one of us that shines out, that is different, that looks different, that's supposed to be different. And every time we come into contact with these different energies, we are tested, we are stressed. We end up finding out that somehow, some way, we elevated. We became more than we thought we ever could be. This is the science of astrology. It's the science of wholeness. It's understanding that all of these signs of the zodiac are within each and every being, that we all make up these 360 degrees, and that these 360 degrees reside within each and every one of us. This is a walk for the rest of October. We're going to go energetically, take this stroll together, take a look at the October new moon for 2020. We're going to give you the time because new moons are a time of setting an intention, a time of prayer, a time when the universe is open and listening, and we talk about the tendencies. We go over personality. We go over the traits and the qualities of the new moon energy. We will also talk about the end of October, which is a full moon on October 31st. We will take a look at what the possibilities could be surrounding that full moon. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the November new moon. We'll highlight the November new moon just so you have an understanding. You'll see the connections that are made because it is a holistic science. It is all about a process. It is all about a growth. It is all about evolutionary energies. And isn't that what you are as a human being? You come into life, you're a baby, you don't know how to talk, your thinking and cognitive abilities aren't formed yet. And then one day, you're able to walk, you can suddenly speak sentences, then you start making choices, then you start learning, you learn academically, you go and you start having life experiences, and through all of these different pictures, all the different views, all the different perspectives, we grow. And every time we grow, we change. And with each change, there is growth, whether it's visible or not. Astrology takes a look at all of that. It takes a look at the possibilities, the inclinations, the impressions of the planetary energies, the planets up in the sky, their locations, and how they have conversations. And those conversations we sometimes hear. We can sometimes feel their emanations. And it is those emanations that are impressed upon us. We are receivers. We are receptacles. We are each little person, we have an antenna that's popped up, whether we can see it or not. And we're constantly receiving information and feelings. We're constantly getting downloads. The question is, when we get this information, when we get these downloads, when we have these impressions, how do we respond? What do we do with it? The October new moon happens on the 16th. The details are up here. The 16th of October. The time is at 2:31 p.m. and that is Central Standard Time. I am in a Central Standard Time zone, and so this chart was written for my location. So if you were to try to create this chart on your end for where you live, but you have to adjust for the time zone that you live in. New moons, because it's a time of prayer, of wishing, and of intention, knowing the inclinations, the impressions that the energy that we're working with is giving off, we know that that's the energy we're working with. It's like when you get a toolbox and you open up a toolbox and inside is 2 screwdrivers. One's a flathead and one's a Phillips. And then somebody else gets a toolbox, but their toolbox has a hammer in it. Doesn't even have any screwdrivers in it. So these 2 different toolboxes have 2 different potentialities, have 2 different possibilities of what they can do. And this is the same way we look at the frequencies, the emanations of the energies that the planets give us. And we're going to be talking about luminaries, right? We're talking about the sun and the moon, objects that give off, the celestial bodies that give off light, right? The moon is a reflection of the sun's light. The sun, of course, is that beautiful light that gives life, the light that gives life. The 16th of October is interesting, right? It's midway through the month, but what I want to mention here is before that new moon, we have Mercury going retrograde. This is the planet Mercury. It's the little guy with the antennas, right? The little body. And it's got the letter R there. And that's at 11 degrees and 10 minutes you see here, right? And that's how we read that, 11 degrees, 10 minutes. And so Mercury is in the sign of Scorpio. Roughly around the 11th of October, it stands still and it has to then go backwards, all right? Typically, Mercury is moving forward like majority of all the planetary bodies do. But every once in a while, they have to stop and they go backwards. And then they do move forward again. When they go backwards, we call that a retrograde. Okay? Now, Mercury is going to go back to 25 degrees of Libra energy. Okay? So, Mercury in the sign of Scorpio, that's that blue M with that little arrow pointing upwards. And it'll go back from 11 degrees Scorpio to 25 degrees of Libran energy. Libra is in orange, and this is supposed to be a symbol for the scales of justice. And this is important to remember because Libran energy is all about things being fair and balanced, and that's the symbol, the scales of justice. And so, yes, the new moon is in 23 degrees and 53 minutes, right? That's when the sun and the moon are literally on top of each other. They match the degrees, 23 degrees, 53 minutes. So this is technically a 24-degree new moon, okay? And so when we understand what the sign of Libra does, like the kind of energy it gives off, right? Its abilities, the inclinations that it gives us, the flavor, the essence. It's like there's a glass on the table and you take a sip of it, right? Maybe it's a glass of spirits, and then after a few minutes, you feel a certain thing about you. You're starting to feel a little bit warmer, right? You're all of a sudden under the influence of what you just drank. So the energies from the planets do the same thing. There is an influence that they actually emanate. And each one of us is different in how we receive those emanations, how we receive what was radiated out to us. Now, the sign of Libras, we need to know its ruler. Its ruler is Venus. Okay, this is important. When we know its ruler is Venus, we can go deep here for a minute and we look to where Venus is in the chart. This is Venus. Venus is right here. Looks a lot like Mercury. They're siblings. Okay, they look almost like twins, except that it has no antennas. It's a feminine energy. All right. Some say that Mercury is a masculine energy, but I do for myself. I honestly know Mercury differently. And it's not about wrong or right. I'm going to tell it to you as I hear it. Because there has been such an emphasis on Mercury's masculine side, what I'm understanding to be feminine is really more of the divine frequencies coming through saying that we are trying to elevate and to have a more pronounced presence of the feminine side of the mercurial energies so that there can be more of a balance, because Mercury being called a masculine energy makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. And this has so much to do with ancient astrology and the way that they understood. We can only understand as much as our consciousness and our level of intelligence and awareness enables us to handle at that time. Well, now we are coming upon a time right? We are coming upon a world where we realize there is a sweet and a salt, where there is a hot and a cold, where there is a up and a down, where there is a left and a right, where there is a sunrise and a sunset. And so Mercury, having masculine energies, it also has feminine energies. And so I have been calling these two not just siblings, but sisters, because Mercury has been coming through with much stronger feminine qualities, traits, and characteristics, which is empathy, understanding, listening, nurturing, caring, which is thinking with the other side of the brain, right? And then really high operating is using both sides of the brain. Not just intuitiveness, but intelligence and intuitiveness combined. That is a fully functioning, high operating mercurial energy. And these two as siblings, right, as siblings are a key ingredient in this new moon. Understanding Libra is fairness, but because Venus is the ruler, it's fairness in significant one-on-one relationships in a very private way. This is the sign that rules the 7th house in a person's chart. The 7th house is marriage. It is also business partnership. And what is Venus? Venus is love and what we value. But Venus also rules our resources and our money. Hence, you understand now, right? Why this could also be business partnerships, because your values are tied into this. It's all about what you value and who you value. Who is important in your life. It does not have to be just marriage or business partnerships. It can be individuals in your life who are very important to you. People you're willing to compromise for. People where you have to have this give and take with, right? They have a demand, you have a demand, they have a want, you have a want, but you don't want to lose them. You don't want to break that relationship off. They're worth it. So you're willing to meet them halfway in the middle of the scale, right? The scale of balance. It's law, it's justice, it's fair, it's things being equal. You get what you want, I get what I want, we're equal. Venus at this time has a lot to do with this. Venus and Mercury are big players in this new moon because Mercury being in Scorpio, Scorpio is behind the scenes, really below the surface, things that are in the dark that you really can't see. It's deep stuff though. This is soulful stuff. S-O-U-L, cellular layers happening here. Cellular communication, because it's Mercury, and it's Mercury going deep. Scorpio energy is the sign of the detective. With Mercury there, you become super detective, right? Because you just know stuff. Why do you just know stuff? Because your soul knows. And you can get information from your soul at this time. You can get information from other souls. There's souls communicating with other souls at this time. And so we go deep when Mercury is in Scorpio energy. These are people in our lives who we are deeply bonded to, deeply bonded energetic relationships that can go beyond this lifetime. If that is uncomfortable for you, then you think about it in a different way. Think about it as that person that you just met and you feel like you've known all your life and you don't know why. There's no explanation for it. Think about it as somebody who is somehow connected or related to somebody else you know, and you're just really close to them. There's just this deep energetic bond. Think about somebody who you've actually had a life experience with. And from that one life or multiple life experiences, you had this energetic bond. You had this common experience. And from that common experience, you bonded with it. And that's the sign of Scorpio. It was a deep experience. We're not saying you just bumped into somebody at the grocery store. No. After that, then something else happened, and then something else. And it was deeper things, big things, things that are cellular experiences, deep stuff. So Mercury in Scorpio energy is that ultimate detective, is that super psychic sign because it just knows things, but it's going to go retrograde all the way back here. Very close, like almost exact to where the new moon is. And when Mercury goes back here to 25 degrees, it will then go forward. It will then go forward, okay? It'll go forward and get back. It'll get back to where it is right now here, right? And when it gets back to this point, it'll have something that it forgot, something that it left behind. So think back to September 23rd, September 24th. This is when the Mercury retrograde zone began. It goes from September 23rd to November 3rd. So after the election, all of a sudden, Mercury will have information that it didn't have before, because then it'll start going direct and it'll be able to give the information. We'll have the information. So in your personal life, you would want to know where these degrees, where the 25 degrees of Libra and the 11 degrees of Scorpio are, because it is that area of your life from September 23rd to November 3rd of your life. It is that area of your life that Mercury is going backward, going back to an experience or experiences the week of September 23rd and even the following weeks after. Something occurred there. Decisions were made. Something with the relationships, important relationships, right? Because it's in Libra. Could be business partnerships. Something was said, something was done, and something wasn't clear. Something wasn't clearly defined. A T wasn't crossed or an I wasn't dotted. You know, Mercury retrograde is like watching a rerun. You got to watch it, and then you get a chance to review it. You go over it. It's like reading a book for a second time. How often have you done that? You read a book, then 5 or 6 years later, you go and you read it again. You just decide to pick it up, and you catch these little beautiful nuggets that you didn't realize were there before. And it's usually because so much is happening. This happens in movies all the time. There's so much that's going on simultaneously on so many levels. Our brain can only grasp and hold on to so many of the things. It's when we go back and review, when we go back and watch it again, we're like, oh my gosh, I missed that the first 3 times. I missed it. How did I miss it? Right? Can you relate? I can. So this is what Mercury retrogrades are for. It's because we get a chance to review something. We get a chance to do something over. We get a chance to revamp something, to make changes in something, to make changes in something we already decided upon, to make changes in something we're currently working on, and we're realizing we want to improve it, we want to up it, we want to tweak it, and that's the Mercury retrograde. And Mercury can dig deep. And then it goes back into that relationship thing. Remember, laws of the scales of justice. This is important because on a big scale, we're all watching, especially if you're in the U.S., watching the 3-ring circus that we call our government. And I'm not going to go any further than that, but watching all the craziness going on whatever side it is that you follow, or if you don't follow a side, but seeing all that's evolving and seeing how it's evolving, it's interesting. And it's interesting to know that it's all been during a Mercury retrograde, right? All during a Mercury retrograde. So what is Mercury telling her sister, Venus? Well, Venus is over here in Virgo. And Virgo is all about routines, daily routines, work routines, my job routines, my projects, health routines, hygiene routines. Keep this in mind, folks. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Hygiene routines, very important. Your day-to-day activities and routines. In Virgo energy, Venus sees the importance. Venus values those things. Venus may find ways to make these things more appealing, more alluring, more beautiful. When you see Venus, you see beauty. Because where Venus goes, she tries to make it more beautiful. And so day-to-day routines, you might find yourself tidying up more often than usual in the house or at work, on the job. Let's keep this clean. Let's keep this organized, right? If there's time to lean, there's time to clean, that sort of thing. Venus loves food, so you could attribute this to the household, to the kitchen. There's a lot of options with this, but work. This is definitely a work energy, work habits, health habits. Virgo energy rules our intestines, our digestion. Okay? Virgo is all about our health, but don't forget hygiene. This is important. And Venus won't probably let you forget. Venus is saying, wow, our hygiene is important. Venus is what you value. Okay? She values quality. She values beauty. Lots of people with strong Venus in their chart would be people who have a Taurus sun, a Taurus rising, or Libran sun, Libran rising, right? Or Libran moon or Taurus moon, because Venus rules Libra and Venus rules Taurus energy. Okay? Venus rules both of those signs. And it's interesting to think what would Venus and Mercury be talking about? Well, this is what Scorpio energy is, our values. Okay, Venus is my values. She rules Taurus and Libra, right? It's my money and my tangible resources. Scorpio energy is our money, our tangible resources. Venus has the ability to create. She's very, very creative. Very creative. So you might find you being very creative with your work projects, finding ways to be more creative. And Scorpio energy, it takes two, right? It's this deep energy. It's bonded energy. We can get physically bonded with Scorpio energy, but it can also be our money, right? Our tangible resources. Typically, some would say it's your spouse's tangible resources, someone that you're married to, or someone that you're connected with in some way, where it's their resources, but somehow you benefit from their resources as well, even if you're not married. And so Mercury's got a communication about that, because that's what Mercury does. Mercury is information and communication, okay? And so Venus and Mercury going retrograde back to that 25 degree, it'll be a while before Mercury gets there, okay? And it'll be until November, until Mercury gets back to where she is here at the 11 degree mark, all right? But all the while, Venus is feeding her information about health routines, right? About work projects and health habits and health routines. Now, the new moon on the 16th at 2:31 p.m. Central Standard Time is a time of setting intentions, a time of prayer, a time where you're understanding what the universal frequencies are. And it is about things being just, about things being fair, about compromising, about conversations, because this is an air sign. This is important, but it's a cardinal air sign. So it's new conversations, cardinal, meaning we're going to initiate. We're going to start. It's initiation energy. And that's what a new moon is too. So this is very powerful because Venus ruling Libran energy, Venus is all about my desires. She's that co-ruler of Taurus energy, a very magnetic energy. So this can be a very, very powerful new moon, a very powerful time to pray, where your prayers are heard because your power, your desires are strong. And if they're focused, if you can channel your emotions, which is what the sun and the moon are together. This is the crescent, right? That's the moon. And this is the sun, the circle with the little circle inside. They're together. And so the sun has the ability to feel the power of the emotions. And the emotions get flared up, get heightened because the sun's on top of them. The sun, whatever it touches, it gives energy to. And new moons are a time where the universe is saying, my ears are wide open. I'm listening. But it hears best when we talk to it about things that pertain to the Libran energies. So this is definitely about compromise, about talking, about being the diplomat. That is a high level. This is a virtue of a Libran energy. Somebody who can talk to somebody who's different than them. Somebody who can stand in the middle, who can understand what the person over there is saying, then can turn their head and can hear what the other person has to say and says, I understand what you're saying too. And it's that person who could stand on the fence, right in between, right in the center of the scales, and bring both sides to the middle, bring both sides to a compromise. And that's what this new moon is about. How do we do that? Because the opposite of this new moon is Aries energy. And Arian energy is all about me. It's got Mars there, Mars retrograding, very powerful, right? Mars is that fight energy, especially retrograding. It's frustrated as all get out. It's done talking. Matter of fact, Mars doesn't like to talk. But that's what we've been trying to do for the last 5 months. We have been trying to grow Mars up. Mars has never liked to talk. Mars has always been about action, action, action. Let's do. Let's go, go, go. Further, further, further. Harder, harder, harder. That is Mars energy. I got this idea. I'm going to do it. It doesn't think long term. Very short-sighted. Quick to temper. Slow to understand. Doesn't think about the future, very impulsive, sporadic bursts of energy from 0 to 10 in no time at all. That is Mars retrograde in Aries energy. This represents our bodies, right? Because we're taking action, we're moving, our physical body, your appearance. We can't ignore that that is opposing, okay? This is at 20 degrees, this is at 24. So that is an opposition. And all you have to know about that is it's the I, the me energy versus the we energy, W-E, the we energy. It's what I want. Well, this is what we want, right? It's I versus we, okay? And it's learning how to compromise, learning how to choose, pick and choose the battles very wisely. And that's how we learn. That's how we grow Mars up, by making Mars sit down and have a conversation. And that's what this is about. This is that wish, that time. We want things to be fair. We want things to be just. We want equality, equality. And we want it for all beings, for all people, right? Because this is Aryan energy, the individual and their body and their appearance. We want equality. There are others who may say, well, that's not what I want. And you're right, it may not be. I tend to try to focus on the virtuous, the higher elevations, the higher options of the way the energy can go. Because you have free will and you can pick and choose to express and to respond or react with your energy in any way that you like. But ideally, if we're growing, if our goal is to grow, if our goal is to evolve, we are really trying to hone in on the virtuous degrees of expression, on our virtuous degrees of living, on our virtuous degrees of choosing and believing. And we may not be able to do it all the time. We may do it only a little bit of a time. But when we get that knowledge in our hand, it's ours to do with it as we please. Venus in Virgo. Virgo is meticulous. Virgo is great for seeing the details. Virgo and Venus together, they get along. They do well together. Because Venus, being the ruler of Taurus, the ruler of an earth sign, is in an earth sign. What I like is that Venus over here in Virgo means that Venus is going to be trining. See the blue lines? The trine energy, right? And so Venus is at 1628, trining Jupiter at 19, 3 degrees away. Which means as the days go on after this new moon, Venus will get even closer to Jupiter, which is beneficial energy. Very beneficial energy. Beneficial energy for our health and for our bodies. Beneficial for our routines and our daily health habits. A good time to create a new health routine, without a doubt. You'll have ease creating a new health routine, a new health habit, a new work routine, a new work habit. I know a lot of folks who are looking for new work. This new moon is a good time to put a prayer out there for that, because these sisters here are communicating, right? Our values, our work routines, our health routines, what's important to us, what I value and how I think about it. Mercury's also your thinking, not just communication, but the way you think, how you think. Virgo energy is wonderful. It connects the dots. It's just like Mercury. The ruler of Virgo is Mercury. So there's a lot of mutual interacting going on. There's conversations between these two. They are always having conversations, but they hear each other really, really well during this time. And this is good for us because there's just so much uncertainty that we need to know that we're not alone, that there's other energies, there's other beings, there's deity, whatever you want to call it. God, Father, Mother, Spirit, Creator, Yahweh, Allah. There was no purpose of leaving any one name out. The point is, use the name that you're comfortable with. Astrology, It's a universal language, folks, meaning it doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter, all right? It's to encompass and to include everybody. Venus and Jupiter together are very beneficial. Venus usually brings gifts wherever she goes. Remember, she's about your tangible resources, your income, beautiful things, making something more beautiful, adding ease because it's a trine. Trine because it's Earth communicating with Earth. Like elements trine. Jupiter at 19. Jupiter usually brings gifts, but it can't give as much as it normally would do because it's grounded. It's earthed. It's landed. Jupiter likes to be in the air and flying. It's in flight, but it's not. It's grounded. It's been grounded because it's in Capricorn. Okay? But this is beneficial. We have beneficial frequencies here because look, Venus sending help to Jupiter. This will help. This is your earth world. This is your income. This is your job. This is your tangible belongings, your values. Capricorn energy is the boss energy, is the career energy. Okay, it represents financial security, tangible securities. That is Capricorn energy. It is also the government, big business, big institutions, things that have been around and built up over a long period of time. That is this. It's all being under a big major transformation. That's what Pluto's doing there. It'll be here for 4 more years, transforming the Capricorn energy. It's already been here. It's already been here for like almost 14 years, right? Changing the brick and mortars, changing how we do business, changing our government, changing the structures of our societies. That is Capricorn energy, and that's what Pluto is doing there. We have Saturn, that's the S. I'm sorry, that is the H with the T across the top. Venus, as she trucks along and gets higher in degree, she will be trining each one of these. Okay, each one of these. And if we look over here, we see these blue lines. This is Neptune at 1839, sending a sweet sextile to Jupiter, because Jupiter's at 19 here. A nice sweet sextile, which is a beneficial energy. It adds ease. It's not as much ease as this beautiful trine, but it adds some ease. So knowing what area of your life this ease is in is a wonderful thing. It'll help. It's a beautiful thing. Okay? If you want to know that, comment your stuff below to me. Give me your name. Let me know you want to know what area of your life you can expect. There will be 3 areas of your life. It'll be your Virgo energy, your Capricorn energy, and your Piscean energy. This, depending upon your rising sign, will depict what areas of your life, what 3 areas of your life you will have some ease. Okay? Just comment down below. I would love to meet you there. Talk to me. Tell me a little bit about you. Tell me what's going on with your life. Tell me what I can do for you. Now, there's one other thing, well, maybe 2. But what we're going to go over now, and it's not going to be easy to see in this chart. I mean, it is. You can already see it here if you're looking for squares. But we can't ignore it. We have to talk about it. It is the North Node at 21 degrees in Gemini. And it is also the planet Neptune at 18 degrees and 39 minutes in the sign of Pisces. Gemini is an air sign, okay? It's an air sign. It's mutable air. In our bodies, Gemini is all about our ability to talk and think and speak and relate. For people in our lives, it represents our siblings. It also represents people who feel like siblings. It can also be peers or people that we work with, coworkers. It can also represent, if you're young and if you're still in school, it would be like classmates. All right. Around your home, this would be your neighbors, your community, right? People who you were in your community who live close by to you, right? Gemini energy also represents the internet now, right? Social media, more specifically, social media, because you go there to talk and relate and communicate. Now, Piscean energy is a little bit different. Piscean is so not this. It is so not the thinking. This is more of the feeling. This is what I feel intuitively. Highly, highly sensitive, extremely in tune with the universe sign. Okay? What it knows and it doesn't know why or how it knows. It just knows. Okay? It just knows. It's a highly empathic sign. It feels, it gets download. It's all about the feelings and the intuition and the information that comes through the ethers, All right. This is a 5D energy. Okay. This is the 3D energy. Keeps track of information and statistics and numbers and data, keeps things organized and information, right? Periodicals, newspapers, papers, books. This is so not that. This is like movies, Hollywood, music, alcohol, liquid, substances, water. This is Pisces. This is a water sign, a mutable water sign, okay? Mutable water, mutable air. Neptune rules this sign, so it's very strong here, okay? It's very powerful here. It does a great job here, all right? The North Node represents where we're headed, okay? It has a lot to do with where we're headed, all right? And the North Node, its normal route is to go backwards. So as it moves, it declines in degrees, right? It'll go to 20, then 19. Well, if you look, I'm always talking about paying attention to the squares, right? And squares are 90 degrees away. So we go 90 degrees, we'll start counting by 30, and we're going to go like that. We're going to move left. We're going to go 30. Well, actually, we're at the 21 degree mark, right? Yeah, that was right. So 30, 60. So we see Mars is sextiling right here. This is a benefit, having Mars, the body, sextiling the North Node. So there's some thinking here, which is good, because remember, this is thinking and relating and talking and communicating. That will actually help Mars out. Mars needs that help. So that was 60, and then 30 more degrees is 90. So yes, this is Neptune squaring the North Node. And this square isn't exactly tight just yet, but when the North Node hits 20 degrees, okay, it'll be tighter, and that means we'll feel the square then. All right, we'll feel it. Now, I wanted to use this opportunity. I want everybody to be aware that, yes, we all know about the virus. We all know about the safe practices. We know about social distancing. We know about wearing masks. We know about washing hands. We know as much as anybody can know right now. And it seems as though, right, what we know right now might not be valid tomorrow. But one of the things we think we know is that we should probably keep safe, practice the social distancing, make sure we're doing the washing of the hands, good hygiene, right? And Venus will help with that. Even though Venus is squaring and will be squaring the moon's nodes, right? That is also a 90-degree square. Once Venus gets up to there at 20 degrees, she'll be squaring the North Node. But the main thing I wanted to focus on was that the North Node squaring Neptune is going to be a long square. It's not going to be quick, because this moves slow and this moves slower. All right. Now, this begins to tighten on October 26th. Okay, October, depending upon your level of sensitivity, not everybody is the same. Some people feel things days before the dates that I give. And that has to do with you and your personal private frequency grid, with your personal private birth chart and the energies that you came in with. But on the 26th, I just picked that as a nice round in-between date. It's realistic. It's 2 degrees away from Neptune. There's a square happening. And Neptune can dissolve the 3D energies. All right. So we just want to be aware that this square, where Neptune can make things disappear, can make circumstances disappear, can make communications, information disappear, can make thinking, can cloud the thinking. That can also happen with siblings. Communications with siblings can disappear. Siblings can disappear. Coworkers can disappear. If you're in school, schoolmates can disappear. Your neighbors can disappear. Does that mean they just vanish out of thin air? I didn't say that, but that just might mean you might not be seeing those people for whatever reason, whether it's because you chose to stay distant, or because they had to choose to stay away, or because we were told maybe there will be some additional new rules implemented with the government, because now that Jupiter and Pluto are all together, and Saturn moving direct in Capricorn, they're empowered. They can stand up and they say, hey, you know what? Here's these new set of rules. or here is a change in the rules, or here is something in addition to. All right? Because you see there's a big square, right? I didn't talk about it yet, but look. This is our bodies. This is our ability to act. This is the square. The big square that Mars is getting from Jupiter, that Mars is getting from Pluto, that Mars is getting from Saturn. Now, as Mars keeps going backwards, it will get further away from Saturn's rules. It will get further away from Pluto's rules. It will get further away. Okay, it'll actually go back to 15 degrees. And so when it's at 15 degrees, it'll even get away from Jupiter. All right? But when Mars goes direct again, it'll catch up to these. It'll catch up to Jupiter, it'll catch up to Pluto, and it'll catch up to Saturn. And when it does, anytime you see that it gets close and you see the red lines form, these red lines, these squares mean testing, tension, friction, like I'm told no, right? And if this is your ability to act and to do, this is the rulers, the people who are in charge, the authority figures, testing your actions, saying, no, you can or you can't do that, or take 3 steps forward, now take 3 steps back. Remember, Saturn, as Simon says. So keep that in mind, that Mars has yet to go to 15, and then it will go forward to here. But do not forget that Neptune squaring the North Node, Neptune rules pandemics. And Gemini energy is our lungs, is our air that we breathe, our ability to breathe, okay? And so there might be times when we hear and when we see people we know becoming infected, coming in contact with somebody. This might occur. The energies are showing that. This tight square will go from October 26th and will last until February of 2021. So you want to make sure that you are following Venus's lead in making it very important, making your health very important for the next 4 months. Make your health a priority. Make sure that routines and health habits are prominent. Make sure that you're staying diligent. And if you haven't been, then now is probably a good time to start that. So there's going to be a part 2 to this reading, but let me just let you go on this note. All of this is going to end in 2021, folks, okay? All of this is going to loosen up. It's going to dissipate. Mars is going to move as well. So for Capricorns and Aries, there's going to be relief, folks. All right? There's going to be relief. It's going to change. As they say, this too shall pass, and together we shall rise.